Hi everyone. So before this starts, I'm going to go ahead and base coat this guy and as people come in, just so it has some time to dry. What I'm going to be using is Black 2.0 by Stuart Simple. You can see underneath right here, underneath me right here, it has the list of the majority of the items that I'm going to be using. Those are my basics. If anything changes, I'll bring them up. Sorry if the camera's a little shaky. If you can see, like, this is my setup right here. while I'm doing this, I do want to bring up just some colors and the reason why I'm painting it black. And by no means am I like I don't feel like a teacher. And this is my first tutorial. So anything that I've learned, it's been from other videos and other people and just testing them out. But when you're painting minis, you can base it in either black or white. And there's a whole other time to where you can put both on there. It's black, white, or gray. And gray is going to give you a neutral undertone. So all your colors are going to come out neutral. Like any colors that you put on top are going to come out neutral. If you start with black, all of your colors are going to be darker. And then if you do white, it's going to show color in its truest form, like really bright actually. So like your yellow might be a little bit more dingy on black, and then so on. It'll get brighter as you go up. And so some mini painters and mini artists use that to their advantage in using it as a light source. And, you know, let me explain. You would base it in black, but then where you want your highlights, you can put the white on there. And so that color is going to be brighter. And so you can almost have an ambient lighting effect to where you can see where the direction of light's coming. Also, if you ever want to do this, invest in a very, very cheap brush. Because one, I just destroy mine when it comes to the bases because I want to make sure I get into all the nooks and crannies. But you're going to destroy them. There's some nicer brushes to where you can get for like fine details, but you're going to destroy your brushes. And I even take care of my nicer ones, and some of them still end up destroyed. Also, I'll show you guys in a minute that the difference between this black paint that I'm using and the usual one that I have from the Army Painter brand. What can we call it? Like both of them are highly pigmented, but this one I like has a very flat finish. It also kind of smells good. But also the Black 2.0, it's supporting artists in the fact of artists deserve to have access to any color. If you don't know about Stuart Simple, he is the guy that creates like the pinkest pinks and the blackest blacks and the glitteriest glitter and stuff like that. He's that guy. But he has a rival with a very well-known artist and famous artist called Anish Kapoor. Anish Kapoor is famous, or most famous, for doing the giant bean. Hey, thank you. But Anish Kapoor is known for making the giant bean that's in New York. Forgive me. Is the giant mirrored bean. And he bought one of the blackest black pigments. And only he is allowed to use it because he had the money to buy all the pigment. So, no other artists in the world can use it unless he gives them consent of some shape or form. But, Stuart Simple's not about that. And so, he created another blackest black to rival it. And you have to sign a waiver every time that you buy one of his products to make sure you have no relation to Anish Kapoor, because if they get a hold of it, then he can check the formula and he can recreate it, so we can't use the color anymore. So Stuart Simple is for artists having access to different colors. Like, artists for everyone. That's kind of the deal. Yeah, see, like, I have this guy that reaches into nooks and crannies, and he still gets messed up and everything. Just, it doesn't matter. I'm sorry if I go out of frame and everything every once in a while. Making sure if y'all can hear me all right. Because I do have music playing, so I'm just making sure. Also, I have an old t-shirt in front of me that I'm just using to wipe off the extra paint. So, we ran out of paper towels. And it takes a minute for me to wash these brushes with the black because it's so pigmented it gets everywhere. Set these guys aside. Alright. So, this is another one of my statues, or minis that I worked on. You can see with the Stuart Simple 2.0, it's very matte. Like, where it's glossy, it's still drying, but like right here, it's very matte. And this guy, he still has a little bit of a gloss to him, which I don't mind. But if you want something very matte so you can see a little bit more detail, or if you want to black something out completely and not have it reflect light, like 2.0. Because this guy, you can still see details on him. So like if you want to do like a black abyss in a mouth that doesn't reflect any light, this is going to be really nice. You can put like a matte varnish or something on there so it doesn't reflect light, but even then it's still kind of shiny. Also, I want to make sure that everyone understands that anytime that you start doing miniature painting, just because you don't have the highly pigmented paints or anything that I'm going to be using, does not mean that you can't paint minis. I started using like folk art paints and like basic literally brand basic acrylic paints to paint these. So, like, this is one of my first ones that I did, and I got big fire giant. This is one of my first ones. I like the look of metallic paint, by the way, for like metals. I know sometimes it's looked down upon in the miniature painting world, especially for professional painting and competitions. Um, actually making it like you drew metal or painted metal instead of saying it's metal, so you do metallic. But I just like it because when you put details on it, it just brings it out a lot for me. And I just find it fun. It's even similar for paintings and everything that I do. So this is just kind of a hobby. I only do it for commissions and just because it's fun. And my actual business is my artwork and digital drawing. And sometimes I do logos and everything. It depends. Like, out of my 5 jobs, which one am I doing that day? But, yeah. I've done a couple good commissions out of this to where I've done returning customers, and they've had me do sprawling armies and everything. And if you noticed on my last one that I showed you, this is 2-part epoxy. It's a putty. And we can get into that later in a different video. But this is to, like, I put this around there and molded it to where it would meld into the base of that, so it'd be bigger, and it actually has a bigger, what is it? A bigger base. I just have a couple on my shelf right here and stuff. Alright, so the mouth is going to take a minute to dry, but the outer part we can start on. Again, sorry, like, I'm still getting used to this setup. Yeah, like, you can see where it's dry, and the white parts I'm not too worried about, just as long as the base is mostly painted. Like some of the exposed parts and everything, I'm not worried about that. Let's see. We're just going to start out with an oak brown. I'm kind of going off the picture off the back of the box. Let me show you real quick. This is one of the molds, or one of the minis from D&D, Nolger's Marvelous Miniatures. And out of the 2, this is the one, not one. I'm just kind of going to go off these colors, but mostly for the box. I don't know if I'll do purple. I might do like a good pink or something. I don't know yet. But we're just going to start with some good dark colors and some browns. Also, when you're doing minis, you want to try to work back to front. And what back to front means is, oh, that didn't mix well. Back to front means is whatever, like how you have your metallics right here, where you would have the metal, you're going to want to paint inside all of this first. I mean, you can still do it whatever way is more comfortable, but back to front just means that you're going to be able to do larger surfaces, and then you can do details later without having to worry about messing up or anything. Details, you'll be able to finesse. Let's see. That guy's always been finicky about mixing anyways. Alright, let's see. It's not going to look like much on the black. But that's fine. Hey, you arrived! Thank you for coming. You just missed my whole spiel. But yeah, see, like, I'm able to go into large surfaces, not worry about any details, just as long as I'm filling in the area that I know I want brown. And I know I'm kind of putting this on haphazardly, but depending on how detailed you want to get and everything, thinner layers will be better, because if you're able to get thinner layers, you're able to get more of the detail to come through the paint. Also, a lot of what I've learned with mini painting is just stuff that I've learned throughout life because I am an artist. So it's a little happy in between. I'm able to take out some of the color theory that I've learned over the years and apply it to what I know here. And then I know that there's one mini artist, and she's done the same thing. She's won several competitions, and she does very thin layers, but she uses a lot of techniques that you would use in traditional painting, which, I mean, this isn't too far off. Just depends on how you want your character to look. She goes insane. You see me wiping off my brush every once in a while, it's because I'm hitting pockets of the black where it didn't quite dry. And so some of the really pigmented black is coming through. Let's see. Actually, while we're waiting on that guy, I'm going to use a white, because I think I'm going to use a neon pink on this guy, for the sake of just, it's neon pink. And I can't talk about the white that I just used yet, so forgive me. I'm doing some beta testing. Also, I'm just going to go in here with a dry brush, another messed up brush. I just want to brighten up some of these areas. Mostly because if I'm going to use a neon, I want to be able to see it. And this black is just going to make it disappear. I wish I would have thought that through. He's still learning, still making mistakes. But this is a pigmented white paint. So if you want to just use any regular like white acrylic paint or something like that, you can use it for this. I'm sorry, the angles are going to get real weird just so I can reach in here and get these crevices. There we go. I touched a little bit of that black in there, which is fine. That just means I get to blend this in so it'll look like it's actually coming out from an abyss. And really, that's kind of the star of the show on this guy anyways, right? He's a giant tongue. So might as well give him a little extra love. I'm not using a real directional light on this guy. I'm just doing it so I can bring out some details. Because otherwise we'd be here all day. You see? Now we got a good white base. I'm going to keep that guy there. Let's see. Let's make him maybe some purple on top. Since if we're going to do a pink tongue, but like a neon pink, let's do like a good purple or something. Be a good alien purple. Yeah, I think that'll be good. Keep that guy out just in case we need him. I'm going to use the same brush that I used for the brown. I'm going to dip into the purple. And I'm going to go ahead and start painting his face on here. And this is kind of going off of the image again, but I'm always a sucker for a good purple. Especially if it's going to be really saturated. I mean, it's a mimic, like, I'm just kind of blending the colors together, making them unified. I'm getting in between some of the crevices. There we go. I'm going to keep it nice and saturated towards the front. And these top guys, I'm going to take a little bit more of the purple. And just kind of dry brush these guys. Not really dry brush though, you know? Like, can't really do it at a point once you've wet the brush. And see, this is also another part of working back to front. I'll be able to get in here and do all of these tiny details, like the flesh in between its mouths and everything, and not have to worry about the teeth. And see, like that little part that I just got right there is going to be covered up with the metallic, so you'll be fine. Let's see. Is that too bright? Yeah, I think it was a hair too bright. Hey, welcome. Let me know if you have any questions. I've just kind of been talking as I'm doing this, so. Also, as I'm mixing back and forth on these, it's going to be still kind of wet on the brown part, so it's almost perfect for me to like mix them in between and fade them into each other. Sweet. Ooh, three viewers all of a sudden. Alright, let's see. I'm double checking that we don't need to do anything else. Let's see. Let's actually put some purple back here on this guy. Because I think it'll be fun to fade some of that out. There we go. definitely want the mouth to look like an abyss. So let's see. Add that oak brown. I'm searching through my colors over here, so one moment. I'm gonna do that. Actually, since we have purples going on, complementary of purple is yellow. So maybe let's get some yellow tones in the wood grain. We're going to use a desert yellow. So it's going to have a little bit of a more natural tone instead of just a bright yellow. Let's see. Yeah, I'll just get some streaks in there. Also, if you go opposite, like, it was a bad technique of mine, but if the wood grain is going this way, or an object is going this way, in order to get that texture, you have a dry brush technique, and you just brush it the opposite direction. That way it'll pick up everything without going into the crevices. But if something gets into the crevices, that's fine, unless you don't want it there. And I'm kind of just dry brushing it, and it's fine that I'm getting in on some of the bumps right there. I want it to fade like that. This is another reason why that working back to front. So you need your darkest colors, and then you can lighten them. And then if you mess up, you just go back with your dark color. Keep in mind not to be too thick with your paint though. I got a little thick in there. But okay. I'm also going to take just the straight desert yellow. I'm going to do the same thing, but not everywhere. I'm just going to put little parts, and little details that I think should be shown a little bit more. So I'm going at it with a very light hand. There we go. Because also I'm going to be going over this with a wash later. So any like tones that are too bright for me, I can dull them down a bit. Also, you don't technically need to wear gloves, but I do just because I got tired of washing paint off my hands. Okay, let's see. Let's take some of the white, some of that purple, lighten it up. Just a tad, not crazy. I'm going to bring out some of those bumps. Yeah, I'm just going to dry brush those bumps. And then ever so lightly, the lightest touch, take your brush and go across the face. I'm going to add a little bit more highlight to the top of these guys. Yeah. Anything that's purple, I'm just going to kind of bring out with that light purple again. So now you can see all those details. And those darker parts is that dark purple. So now you're creating that depth. All right, let's see. So while some of the stuff on top dries, there we go. Blend that out a bit better. And sometimes with these paints, all you have to do is just wet your brush again, and you'll be able to blend some of the colors a little bit better. There we go. That's a bit better. But yeah, while the rest of the top part dries, I think I'm gonna knock out the bottom base. And do a dark stone, because why not? A dark stone. That seems kind of right because my partner always playing Dark Souls. Seems right. And DND. They're always in castles and stuff, so. Actually, instead of this guy, I'm going to use one of those messed up brushes again. I'm just going to use him. Get a good coverage. These are messed up brushes, but I'm still able to finesse with them. I'm still able to go around this guy. Specifically this brush. Again, I apologize if I go in and out of frame or you're not able to see entirely what's going on. It's just me trying to figure out the lighting and see where things are going. Actually, I'll be right back, but if you guys have any questions, let me know. Leave them in the chat. Yeah, I did a lot of tidying up today too. But yeah, I'll be right back. You guys got any questions? Leave them in the chat. Just gonna leave the music playing real quick. Let's see. let's see. Now, a lot of these paints, they tend to be fast dryers anyway, so fast drying. So let's see. Let's get started in. Also, I wanted to mention, I noticed that I said that like priming it black or white or gray in the beginning to get whatever tone that you're looking for, if you want it to have a dark color or a lighter color. A lot of these minis, they can actually become pre-primed. So you'll already have it in a gray or white, and they'll have it listed on the box as well that they're pre-primed. So you don't have to worry about it necessarily, but I tend to do priming anyways just because I want a certain look. Let's see. I'm going to take some of our white. Also, if you have a preference for the type of paint that you use, that's it. That's just your preference. But I actually have a mix of different paints and different effects that I like. And depending on the customer that I have as well, they'll like certain things. And so just because, you know, I'm an artist, I collect a little bit of everything in terms of material or color or paint. I tend to already have it. But yeah, I lightened up some of that stone gray and get rid of some of the brush. And we're just going to dry brush some of these areas to bring them out a bit. Also, like this little circle part right here, that's super glued onto the base. I'm not worried about that. I can clean that up later. You see, if I just barely go over it, now it actually looks raised. You're thinking that that might be the light or something hitting it. That's actually the paint. And then I can take a little bit more white. And dry brush ever so lightly onto those parts. I'm kind of using a light source here, just for the sake of I want it to look like it's off of the ground, so anything underneath, it's just going to be a black shadow. I'm not worried about it. Because sometimes these are just meant for play, not to show off. However, some people do collect them. But I'm not worried about it. And also, whenever I do a wash on this, a lot of those crevices are going to come up a lot better. So, just a little bit of highlights and stuff that I'm doing. I'm getting the effect that I want, but it's not going to be the finished product. All right, let's see. I think we can go a little bit lighter with that purple. I'm just going to ever so lightly brush those areas and get a better angle. So like up here, just brush those areas a bit that would really like that. There we go. Now that's bringing it out. Let's see. the light. Sorry. I'm trying to see if I can show y'all without the light. I think it's reading well. Also, like these bumps on top and everything. Some of them have the eyes on them, like the ones right up front. We'll address those in a little while. Yeah. Now things are popping a little bit better. Yeah. I'm just getting a tad more purple on here because some of it dried up. Thought maybe I might be able to salvage some. There we go. Put some down here. And put some of the color on here just so we can get some definition. Just so it's almost like, I know I want it to come out of the abyss of the mouth, but I do want it to have a little bit of color because shadows aren't completely black when it comes to, what you call it? I digress. Some of them can have a green base or a blue base. Some of them can have more of that purple tone because they'll have more red or something in them. And I kind of want to bring a little bit more interest to the tongue. Excuse me. My nose itched. Let's get on those eyes. I do think yellow eyes are going to do really well. I kind of did a mistake, but, you know, I'm still trying, you know. Let's see, we'll take a tiny brush, because what I would have done is address this earlier, because I'm just flying by the seat of my pants on this design. I'm just having fun. It's not a commission or anything, so I'm going to take some of the white. I'm going to fill in those eyes. Also, a good cheap brush that you can get, like a good cheap brush set, it's these guys. They're in Michael's, and they come in like packs of 10. They're for like $5. They're not the best brushes, but they have a variety of sizes and range of how like the tips of them are, like how tiny they are and stuff. And it's good for like this beginner stuff without having to invest in like the stupid expensive brushes. So I'm putting the white down for the sake of, I want to make sure that that yellow shows up real well. Make sure on the back art. Yeah, he's only got 4 eyes. So we're good. We're in the clear. Alright, let's see. No, well, we got the white out. No. Nope, never mind. Scratch that idea. So, this is another Stewart Simple product. The pink is pink. So, it's a neon pink. And unfortunately, Anish Kapoor actually got a hold of some of the pigment because Sunline gave it to him. There's a whole debacle on that because he was a bit of an a-hole about it. And he's just mad that he can't buy pigments for himself anymore or something. Alright. So is this giant bottle, but I got a little bit on the lid right here, and I'm just going to use that guy. Let's see. Oh yeah, look at neon. Look how bright that guy is. We're just going to put him on the tongue. And see what happens. I haven't had much experience with this color. It's not in my usual color palette, but I couldn't pass it up. Like, it's so pretty. My partner would actually use it more in his art pieces than I would. And that's one of the reasons why I kind of splurged on getting these products before the whole pandemic. And I knew that if I were to get something crazy that, it wouldn't go to waste. I know that this may look a little bit cartoony now, giant pink tongue coming out of, a mimic or something. But I don't care. And that's kind of the whole idea anyways, right? You're supposed to be creating a character. Whether it's minis or the actual creature itself, there are certain rules, I get that. Certain things that they may have to align with. But I think a giant neon tongue is fun. Like I said, sorry for the angles. I'm making sure that I can get these spots. I did get some neon on the teeth, but I'm not worried about that. That's another thing of working back to front. Because if you noticed beforehand when I was like, oh, since we have the white, I was going to go ahead and paint the teeth. But if I painted the teeth, then now they have neon on them. So we avoided that. And that's just one coat of it. This neon, it's very pigmented, but it is thin. So I'll let that layer dry and maybe do one more layer just to make sure that it actually covers some of the colors. But if you notice now, there is that darker part, and then it is brighter up here. And so that's where the black to white shading happens. So let's get to that yellow paint. And I want to glow on this guy for the yellow eyes. So why not go with a good old classic demonic yellow? Also, these like little trays and everything, it's just from Fresh Market where we got some creme brulee a couple months ago. Like again, these were pre-pandemic. And every time that I got a creme brulee, you know, I would take it home and I just keep these guys. I just make them into my little art palettes, especially for just these. Also with these guys, there's a form of precision that you have to take, but not necessarily a crazy amount. It's like, yeah, you color in the lines or whatever. But washes actually make things a lot easier, and you'll be able to get rid of some of like those fuzzy edges because it'll settle into the creases and make almost like an outline. So it's like you're coloring in before you put in the line work, or you're putting the color down before you have a coloring book kind of deal. So let's see. You know that that guy looks a little dry. Let's get some more of that pink. A bit too much paint on that one. Alright, I think that'll do. Let's do a little bit of white with pink. And since the ridges are going this way on the tongue, I'm kind of stroking down to catch those raised areas. Also, what I really like about minis is it's literally like a coloring book. Like, even though it's like you're kind of doing it reverse, you already have your picture. So now you just have to color it in, and that's it. And you don't have to be precise about it. And on here, if you wanted to, you could actually color outside the lines. I mean, that doesn't stop you anyways from coloring outside the lines in a regular one. Also, what I'm doing here actually is just some dry brushing. This is helping bringing out the texture of that tongue a little bit more because the neon's cool, but neon does the same thing as like if you paint everything in black, it just becomes a solid mass, and now you have to start working with texture. So you can do black on black on black, but if it's different textures, now you can start doing, or not different textures, different hues, then you bring it up for the light. So if it's raised, that's where you want some of the lighter areas to be. That's a very basic thing. You can play around with that idea, anytime. I'm just taking some of the pure white right there. Adding it to a dry brush. Getting to those very highlighted areas. And the texture of the tongue where it has some of the bumps and everything, really bring them out. And that's where it's like, yeah, you can play with ambient light and textural light. Hey, welcome. You can play with textural, ambient light and stuff like that. But a lot of the times I tend to like to bring out the textures and everything that the creature or mini has. Just because, like, if it's there, why not celebrate it? Glad you made it, Jawbreaker. Thank you for coming. My schedule says I'm supposed to be on here till 12, but depending on this mini, it will depend on if I get off early or later or not. Also, let's see. We're going to take some of that demonic yellow, not white. I'm just going to add almost like little lighter people right in the middle of those. And then I think what I'm going to do, let's see, let's try this guy. It's called Moon Dust. It looks like it has a little bit of a neon tone to it. It really just looks like if I added white to demonic yellow. But let's try. Let's try. It does a little bit something. Nothing crazy. Let's try. Here. I think we're going to do like a little bit of an orange. Around the edge. This is where I start getting just like tedious. Alright, well, go take a shower. I mean, do what you gotta do. I'm just glad that you came to support. Right, I'm gonna take a little bit of that orange. I'm gonna take a little bit of the neon, the demonic yellow. Just so it's not too dark. I'm just gonna add 2 dots on either side. Each eye. Just as long as it's in the area, it doesn't really matter. There we go. I just cleaned off my brush and dabbed it a little bit on the old t-shirt. And now I'm just kind of mixing them on here. And the oranges will mostly stay on the edges, but that center part is really going to bring out that yellow now. More there. I just dabbed on some more of the demonic yellow. There we go. I think I like that better. Yeah, really brings out the depth. I did not know that, but I can't afford any of that. So hopefully, if this takes off, it'll be, you know, a one and the same kind of deal. All right. Now that that is kind of taken care of, I think I'm going to take care of the teeth. Actually, instead of just a straight white, I'm going to take some of that moon dust yellow, since we have it out. I'm going to make the teeth a little bit of a yellow color. And just following the gum line on this. Yeah. Sweet. I mean, I kind of consider that a plus. Oh, also, recently, we were able to spend a little bit, and it's mostly business related. So we, and by we I mean me and my partner, we now have a large frame that we can use for screen printing. And on the way we have black screen print ink. So now we have black and white, and hopefully we can have some more colors in the future, but we can start screen printing t-shirts. Not really prepared. It's just we did some basics and we tried to do something, but I wouldn't know if prepared or uh, I don't know what the other word I'm trying to think of at the moment. So I got that top layer going now. Yeah, I definitely like the yellow instead of just the pure white. And this guy down here, he has like some jostled up teeth. So what I'm doing is that I'm just getting that top part. I'm not going near the gum line. I'm just going across the teeth and painting those. And then I'll go in there later and get the gums, or the bottom parts of them. Um, it's just like one of the clamps on my phone. That's pretty much it that I'm using. Um, and then I have my soldering stand that has a ring light on it. So, but yeah, there's a lot of support systems going on right now because I just figured out how to do this 2 hours before stream because that's what my schedule allowed me. I think all shops are, oh no wait, I forgot. Never mind. Of course I'm streaming and now everyone has Animal Crossing playing and I'm sitting here like Alright, now I'm just kind of dry brushing some white. I know, I know. I'm mostly messing with you guys, that's all. But I'm taking some of the white and I'm dry brushing it on top just to give it a little bit of depth. So, nothing crazy. Just the smallest amount of white paint. Because highlights will be a thing later. Let's see. I think I got everything basically that I want on here done. But I know I'm going to do the metallics and then I'll wash it. And then we'll see if anything needs to be brought to the surface better. What I'm going to use is another Stuart Simple. What was it? It's a kit that he sold or is selling. It's called Heavy Metal, and it's 4 little paints of his different metallics that he has. And like, there's one where there's copper. They're really nice. Like, oh, they're stupid. They're stupid good. There's black gold, so it has like the black base, but then it has metallic gold pieces in it. And got the silver, and then regular gold. And some of these, they kind of vary, but they're actually they tend to lean more on that pigmented side. Like some of them are a little bit thinner, but they're really nice. I'll show you guys in a minute, like, because we're about to use them. Let's see. I think I'm just going to use this thin guy again. So, yeah, I actually used it for my base on this guy. Whatchamacallit. He created Blackest Black after Anish Kapoor, whatchamacallit, bought copyrights or rights to having the Blackest Black pigment. But then he created one, and I have Black 2.0. And I was showing in the beginning of my video, so like after this is done or stuff, or like if you want to go back, whatever, like you can see the difference between how matte this is compared to the regular black paint base that you have for whatchamacallit, say in the Army Painter set. So like how this still kind of has a gloss to it. You know, it's like a gloss or matte varnish, where the gloss varnish, you know, is glossy, but matte varnish sometimes has a shine to it unless you shook it real good. Yeah. So like this is still that matte varnish with a gloss basically, but this is matte, like, and it dries so matte. Oh wait, actually, I painted this guy as a base the other day, so like you can see it's matte, and then that guy. so you can actually tell the difference. You can't see any texture on that guy. It's crazy. Alright. Also, what do you guys think? For the metal pieces, should we do like a copper, a gold, do silver, maybe even that black gold? I don't know. What do you guys think for the metallic? Actually, let's see. Let me see if I can find my test page that I did. Yeah, maybe gold. I was thinking that too, but I'm seeing. Yeah, there we go. These are the metallics. So that's the copper, the black gold, silver, and then gold. What do you guys think? Gold still winning? Ah, okay, hold on. Let's see if maybe that works better. Gold? Yeah. I was thinking that. Wasn't too sure. Good feedback. Good job, guys. Right. So also, these are like in nice, like glass jars. We did it! Right, also, I'm just going to use the gold in that lid. Just because I don't need to pour it out. Make sure you guys can see this. Yeah, like, it's really pigmented and it's really nice. Because you know, if you like use a regular metallic paint and sometimes it just doesn't cover, you might have to use it several times and do several coats. Nah. Some of them are a little bit thinner, but they're still all very pigmented. Who, me? Like, I've done, what do they call it? I redid my little park area, if anything. I got a couple of new things. I'm still working on my rainbow flower garden. Nothing much has really changed, as far as I can tell. Oh no, did she do the desert? Is she getting rid of everything? um, I'm glad I'm the cause of chaos. No, I don't need any more blue roses. I'm just working on actually filling things out now, so I'm making them clone instead of breed. But mm. So no, like Kelsey, like, are you doing the desert? Nice. That makes me excited. Like, it's one of those things where I showed it to you just because it was chaos, but I also figured you might actually take it for real, like, and actually do it. Also, can I just say I love that you guys are fighting about your island, but I'm the one that actually brought up the idea. Like, the only thing is just the only thing is just this is all Haley's fault and that's it. That sounds about right. What have you been trying to find for Muffy? Thank you. Yeah, I definitely think it was a good touch. I also think that copper would have been a nice touch, but gold is a good classic. But hence why I asked you guys. I think that's good for the gold for now. Also, those guys have so much like metallic in it that it actually does like the shimmer swirl in your water when you rinse. Alright, let's see. We're gonna go from here. I know that I need to wash it. So I have a second one of these, so I can put a wash in it. I'm just gonna put a little bit of water in there. Doesn't take a lot. Now the washes that they give you, they're cool, but I think they're a bit too thick, and so I like to water mine down a bit. So let's see. We're gonna do strong tone. We do about 3 drops. Then let's see. I'm going to use this guy again. Let's see. We've got some pigment out. Take some of the water and I dilute that. So I have like a little bit of clean water here, and that's where I put it, the wash. I just dilute that so it actually like runs into the crevices. I'm going to just dab off a little bit. And then I just dab onto here. Just let it do its thing. See, now it's creating like the little outlines. It's going into the recessed areas. And I'm dabbing just so if there is any residual wet spots, I'm not pulling it up. You see like all of those are defined now compared to here. Hold on. You see that, and then compared to that, yeah. And sometimes like I'll add a little bit extra into certain areas. If I want a good shadow, I'll let it pool. So now like those darker parts, they're really showing up. I want to say that they have, but I don't think so. I might be getting them confused. Just gonna do a quick wash down here. You see like those highlights are still there, but now all those recessed areas, they have a good shadow. And also what I like about washes is that it'll create a tone over the whole thing, so it makes things a little bit more cohesive. Now we got those recessed areas of the teeth showing. And now we'll just do the tongue. And now it's all settled in those crevices. It's going to dry rather quick, not too quick though. So you have some time to play around with things. So like if there's one area that you're not particularly fond of with the tone or something, you can kind of wet your brush and wipe off some of the areas like here. So I still am going to go over some areas, I think, just to bring out certain textures. Definitely got to let that dry for a moment. because now that it has the wash on it, yeah. Now that it has the wash on it, though, if I do anything too soon, everything's going to have that tone, and if I do highlights, it'll just be off or not. So. I'm definitely happy with how that tongue turned out, though. It looks nice and fleshy. I keep forgetting that the camera's on this side because it's the phone. So I'm just randomly. No, it's good. Like, take over my chat. Like, it's a good thing at this point. Like, if one of my live things, if you're not able to, like, actually sit down and watch it, I, or if you don't particularly find anything interesting, um, whatchamacallit, like, put me on in the background. You don't have to listen to me, but it would be appreciated if I could at least get some views because I'm trying to get to affiliate and I'm so close. I need followers and I need an average of 3 viewers. That's it. I'm so close. Because now I have 15 followers. And if I can just keep this up and keep going, I would like to be able to start doing something. But also, if you know any friends that, are interested in seeing things like this or, draw with me's that are real chill during the week or anything like that, just background music, tell them about it. I do have a PayPal donation button, and that's just, anything that's going to help towards business or art supplies. Thank you. All right, let's see. Now that we can get rid of the wash, just going to do that. I'm going to take some of this guy. I'm going to get rid of the majority of it. Yes. Stream. I'm going to take some of this white. Just hit these spots. Just to bring them out a bit more. Just taking some of the white and creating some of those thin highlights that you see on teeth. Just to bring them out a little bit more. This is also going to create like that roundness that the front of teeth have. And it's also not getting rid of that yellow tone. let's see. I'm going to take some of the yellow. Really going to give it that nice glowing pupil. There we go. I think it has that nice glow now. Then we're going to do a little bit more. Of a good purple highlight. But more strategic. I'm just taking some of that light purple, and where my highlights already were underneath the wash, I'm just reinforcing them and kind of bringing them towards the front again. So it doesn't get lost. And it doesn't disappear all into a dark purple mass. I'm hitting the highlights on top of these eye spots again, very tops of these bumps, just to bring them out. Oh, Lisha, or Jawbreaker, or whatever. Did you see that Michaels has Pastel Goth Halloween products? Like, it's skulls and pink flowers and stuff, and I'm sitting here like, excuse me? How dare you have the audacity to have that when I'm broke? I'm taking some more of that light purple and just creating some more ridges on the teeth part. Again, just reinforcing the highlights that are already there. Yeah, yeah. They're really cute. I say pastel goth because those are the vibes that they're giving me. Like, they have classic Halloween stuff, but then it's like all of a sudden they have like these pink flowers with skulls and skeletons and stuff. Yeah, because it's hard to find on their actual website. Like, you have to know some form of keyword or something. Something besides flowers and skeletons, even though that's what it is. There we go. See, now that we have those highlights, it looks like the bumps and some gums. Reinforcing some of those spots again. Because now that it's dried down, I'm able to see some of the areas that may need a little bit more help. There we go. And I think I'm going to keep the wood the same because it'll look kind of uniform. But the creature, definitely, like the mimic itself, those highlights are really going to make it look grotesque. Yeah, I want some too. Alright, we'll get some of pink again. Let's see. Add some of these neon touches. And dry brushing some of it on those highlighted areas that were there before. So now since it was highlighted, I can put that on there and now it'll be a true pink. You don't necessarily have to get it to 5 stars. 5 stars just allows you to get like the golden watering can for golden roses. Let's reinforce the pink in here. Okay, I think we got some of that neon back again. I know. It's his pinkest pink, and it's his neon pink that he has. Also, all of his paints smell really good. Like, you probably shouldn't sniff paint. Well, you shouldn't sniff paint, but you kind of want to with this guy. It kind of smells like candy. But yeah, like, this is the bottle. Like, mixed it up with some string gel, and it was just like neon, just paint. It was really cool. Alright, so now those are taken care of. What we can do now is we can use some matte varnish, and we can go over the chest itself. I'm not using a lot. Excuse me, sorry. There we go. Sorry for the shaky camera. Still getting used to things. I just have this guy. And these are completely separate from like my, whatchamacallit. Thank you. These brushes are completely separate from any of my acrylic ones or anything like that. So this is the Liquitex matte acrylic or matte varnish. And I'm just dabbing it on the area that I know is dry. Yeah, these are minis. The paints and everything, I have ones that are meant for painting these kind of things that are high pigmented, but the brushes, they're not specifically made for mini painting. It's just ones that have variety and stuff that we like. Yeah, no, the brushes aren't specifically made for miniature painting or anything. No, you're fine. They're completely separate from my acrylic paints and watercolor paint brushes. Like it's a set, so you don't have to mix pigments or your brushes won't get messed up. So your watercolor brushes you shouldn't mix with acrylic. Granted, I've done it a few times, but like that's under certain circumstances. And it's usually like brushes that I'm not worried about losing. I'm sure that they have like full kits where like this is for miniature painting, but as long as you have something that you know is going to work, I don't see anything particular about that going on. I'm putting some of it on here. Even though it's not necessarily meant to be matte up there. I'm doing it mostly for consistency, protection-wise up there. So some of these areas may look a little cloudy, but they'll clear up. It's from Citadel. Citadel is another brand of paint. It's a company specifically made for miniature painting. And they have full-on kits and everything. They're stupid expensive. They have like little tubs of paint that cost an arm and a leg. But it's just a little stand that will stretch out to the size that you need for your mini. And it's just a good grip. I forget what it's called, but it's just to hold it so you don't have to worry about like while you're painting it, you know, holding it like this and getting paint all over your fingers and ripping paint off with your fingers. Then you don't have to worry about that. And plus, then you can turn it around and stuff like that. So it looks like some of the mat is drying. I'm not going to pay attention much more to like the base that it's on. That's supposed to be like rock or something or dirt. I'm not going to worry about that one for this time around, just because there's so much going on up here, and I want to keep that as a focus. I just want to keep that as like a base that it can blend into. But you can see like some of the highlights that I was putting down there, and the wash recessed into the cracks and everything, so it actually brings it farther up. Let's get rid of some of that excess. In between all of these, you want to make sure that these things are drying in between. So like your wash, you need to make sure that you know when it's dry enough to where you can do stuff, because otherwise you're just rehydrating it and moving it all around. Uh-oh. I knocked my shelf a bit. Well, that character's a bit top heavy. You gotta make sure they sit right. And it's one of those shelves that's just like the wood with like the rope on it. So it's all a balancing act. It's cool for aesthetic reasons, but if you're gonna use it, it's like if you have like cats or something, don't put them on. Why are you dead? This is Liquid Text Gloss Varnish. These are also products that I've had over the years that I've just kind of collected. So, again, you don't necessarily need this off top of everything. You can easily use like a spray paint, a sealant or anything, just to make sure that everything stays there. This is just me being extra and having my own preferences. Alright, so I'm going to take the gloss. I'm going to add it to the eyes. I'm going to put it on the teeth. What do you mean you don't know? Like, and this gloss I'm also going to put on the tongue. I think I'm going to use it in certain areas instead of like all over. Looks like some of the slobber or drool is dripping. So it's actually shiny in some parts. And let's see, I'm going to just add a little bit of shine up here for the sake of drool. And I'm going to keep the metallic the way it is. It shines through enough where you know that it's metal. And usually I would have gone over it with a gloss or something to bring it back up, but I think to make sure that this comes across as drool, I'm not going to reinforce that shine. I think that'll do it for this piece. So that's not bad. A 2-hour mini. It's not the worst I've done. I've done easily an 8-hour mini. And I messed around with this earlier. I'll show you guys again. I took a hot glue gun and I was trying to see how to make drool that was actually 3D and not just shine. So I actually took a hot glue gun and see like those little strings. Here, hold on. So it actually is drool. And I just had like the smallest bead of hot glue on the tip, and I just touched it, let it stretch, and I touched it at the other end. I'm not the first one to think of this. I've seen other people do it and stuff, so. But I was trying other products before I decided to go with the hot glue method. Because like I have string gel, I have other things that could possibly work, but none of them worked. It did take some time to learn uh, with the hot glue to make sure it didn't get stringy, but I think I did a good job for that. Easy, gets the idea across. I might add a couple strings to this guy once he dries and everything. So, yeah, I think that'll be it for this guy. Let's see. I wonder if I can lower this light a bit more. There we go. I think it was just too bright. There we go. But the hot glue, I don't know. That's just my own preference, but with whatchamacallit, with sealants and everything, I don't see why not, because if it's a varnish that I'm using on this thing, it'll be fine. Don't personally know about the hot glue yet. Just as long, because, you know, thin strings, it's delicate. But, I mean, they're meant to be collected and played with, so, and used in D&D games, and meetups and stuff, so I would hope so. Yeah, you can really see where that gloss is and where the matte on the tongue. Yeah, you'll be able to get some of that moisture look. And then with the shiny teeth. Shiny teeth. And some of the gloss on some of the other areas just to bring it out. I'm trying to get some good angles on here. There we go. These are good beginner things. Like this comes in a pack of 2, so it's that one and the other one that I showed you. It comes in a pack of 2 for like $5. I mean, that's like $2.50 for each one. That's not bad for that, especially if you're going to sell them. But also, like some people use them just plain as is, just to get the idea across and make sure that there's a monster in the room. Like I said, I just do this for hobbies and for fun. It gets me out of a creative rut in some ways. Like, I don't have to create anything, I just have to basically color it in. It's like coloring sheets. Like, just reiterating that. It's like a coloring book. I just have to color it. And the limit is my imagination on my color palette instead of what are they doing or anything like that. And that's where like storylines can come into play, and you can talk about like maybe put some blood splatter on there because whatever hunter that he is, or he's a knight or rogue that, you know, there's hobo murdering, blah blah blah. So just whatever. And then I do have a couple others that I've done to where I've done glowing objects, so it'll actually look like the light is on their clothes. But yeah, I think that'll be it for today. It was a good little sit down paint. I'll definitely keep in mind time wise. I do have the 8 to midnight slot cut open just for the fact of making sure that if there is a mini that takes a little bit longer, if something happens, you know, there's actually time. Not all minis will either take this long or be this short, depending on what you're going for. Because I could have literally just painted this brown, pink tongue, purple area, white teeth. Bob's your uncle. Yeah, I think it turned out well. But let's see. Make sure you got everything together. And see, like what I was saying in the beginning, You don't necessarily have to have all these fancy paints or anything that I have. This is a collection over the years. But if you're ever getting into minis or something, there's like the folk art brands and stuff that you can get. So like we have like this color shift. So it shifts from like a blue to a purple if we wanted to make something look a little magical. So we have it on some cloaks and everything of some like mages and things like that. We have like a blue. Like they have tons of different effects that you can use to make things a little bit more magical. Also, folk art brands, they're actually a good like cheap paint, and not to mention like, so you got this for folk art, right? And you're just like, oh well, that's expensive because it's that amount of money. Well, these are miniature paints. They're a lot more pigmented, and you might need more layers of this guy. But come on, they're kind of one and the same. Just like this one may be a little bit thinner or watered down depending on the batch or whatever they're using for the mix. So you got a large variety of those. And yeah, like that's where I started. And I think it's been over a year now since I started doing miniature paintings. And the first time that I did it, I didn't expect it to go anywhere. I just started doing it because it was fun. And then all of a sudden, I had a return client that had me do full on, uh, oh, what's it called? I forget what they're called now. Full on like armies and everything. And he would set them up with his son. And he didn't have time to personally paint all these tiny little miniatures. And they weren't like this. They were like this small. And I had to paint like more than 50 of them at a time. I would always get like batches of like 100. Some of them rode horses, and I had to put them together and stuff because they were little mini metal pewter guys. I didn't even know those existed until the guy gave them to me, and I was just like, yeah, I got this because it's the same thing. I did a little bit of research to see if there was any finishes I needed to do or anything like primer wise, but yeah, that's all it is. It was just research, but let's see. I do want to thank y'all for like coming in, joining me, um, spending time in chat. Just, I mean, I'm sitting here painting, and if you joined me, that's great. You know, like I'm glad that you were able to be creative with me. I'm glad that you were able to put me on in the background just for some background noise. You know, I'm thankful for the support, and I'm really trying to get this up off the ground, and hopefully it'll become something. Um, but yeah, Monday will be the start of doing some Monster Girls and everything. So we'll be drawing some of those. You can continue with Draw With Me's and maybe have some input on what type of Monster Girls because I'm doing Halloween theme and cryptids. So within reason, I'll do a certain amount because then I will do a fundraiser to see how many stickers that we can get made of those girls. So thank y'all again for joining me. I hope y'all have a good evening. I hope you have a good rest of your weekend. And I will see y'all on Monday, hopefully. So, bye.